Here we are at release date. Welcome back. This is Ryan.
This is Holmes.
This is Thomas. And
Today
welcome
we'll be
to
talking
Release date.
release date.
We're still working on the intro. Give us a little break.
By the
I'm sorry.
picture, can you tell what we're going to be talking about today? Probably not, but it's a picture of the Kremlin from Russia. Here we are.
If you
talking
know,
about
you know.
the Courier today. Not the old Courier, but the new one. You know,
There's
not
like
the one of the
40
seven of them.
Yeah, there's so many of them.
The Courier, the Courier, the Carrier.
The Carrier.
Is that how you pronounce it? The Courier.
I think
The
it's Courier.
I believe
yeah.
so.
Gotcha.
Directed by Dominic Cook, who I looked him up, and I don't know any of the other movies he's made besides maybe Henry VI, Part 1, Richard
Henry
III.
the Sixth.
Henry the
What
Sixth,
is this,
Part
the
2.
1400s?
Well, looks like we're gonna have to review some movies, boys. Henry the
Oh.
Sixth.
Oh,
On Chesil Beach. I don't know that one either, but that's apparently he only has like 10 that show up on Google at least.
oh,
But-
he's only directed 10 Hollywood movies. No big deal. Pretty small.
Yeah. That's if I get one, I'll be happy. Ryan, you're never gonna do that. All right, okay.
You never know. I believe in you, Ryan.
We couldn't find the budget looking online, but we could find opening weekend was 1.8 million, which was the 21st of March last week, and its total gross so far is 4 million.
I mean,
It's pretty
there's
good.
something to consider
Not
too.
bad.
Like a lot of the big markets still are open, like the LA market and the New York market account for like
Yeah,
the vast majority in the US.
right.
And I don't think those are open yet. And plus, like, I feel like no one's really heard of this movie, like, honestly, which is kind of
Yeah.
a shame because it's a really good movie.
No, it's more low key. Like I think if anything, it's been like this passing thing of like, oh, Benedict Cumberbatch new movie.
Yeah.
But like, there's no really. That's what I first thought. I was like, I think I maybe have seen it, but
And he's like a big actor.
Yeah.
Like everyone
I
knows
think
who Benedict Cumberbatch is.
Huge actor in this. I can't believe that it wasn't more popular, at least so far. It reminds me of Imitation Game, just because he plays like a
It's a
similar
similar
spy
vibe.
espionage type movie.
Yeah,
a lot of people are saying too, like it reminded them of Bridge of Spies.
I
I
love.
don't know, I've never seen it, but they were saying
I
like
haven't
it's
seen that
it's
yet.
similar vibes, and so it could be
All
just
right.
kind of.
So maybe we should give a quick little plot because I don't think anyone's
That's
gonna
fair.
know about this. So I don't know. So basically, what it is it's based on a true story, which is awesome. I always love a true story. And it's about this British citizen, this British businessman named Greville Wynne, who was recruited by MI6 and the CIA to meet with like a Soviet, like higher up, who was in like the Soviet military, Soviet government, and they like did espionage. So they worked with each other to take Soviet secrets out of Soviet Russia and bring it to like the West, and it helped like stop the Cuban Missile Crisis. So like that's like the basic gist of it.
Spoiler.
Yeah. Well, I mean it's history, so
That's true, and spoiler alert for all of our future podcasts because we'll be going deep.
That's true. And this is the first like new movie that we've come up with. So here we are.
That's true.
I guess overall like reactions, like what was your initial like dislike roughness? Like did you like it, did you not like it, and like why? What was your first gut reaction?
I think solid. I liked it. There's no like love. There was no like. I wasn't sure how I feel about the movie. It was all like it's a well-made movie, well acted. I think that was probably one of his strengths. Is it was really well acted. It was an intriguing story. Like I said, it pulls from history, which, like I said, I guess some people may not like that, like love that, but I like it personally. So, and like I said, it was well made. I have no complaints. I don't think it was anything spectacular, out of this world, or like maybe super exciting. Maybe is where it lacked for me, but that's history. So it's not always just like
Yeah.
action nonstop, or it had a different feel to it, which I kind of.
I will say it is nice. Like I felt like even though it was based on a real story, I felt like it was a little more original than a lot of Hollywood movies you see these days. Like they tend to be like sequels or whatnot. So it was nice to see something different, something new, which I really liked.
Yeah, I first off, I liked it. I think it was a good movie. Maybe it was missing a little depth in like a sense of more story, more like it was really only one storyline, not like multiple storylines coming in. Maybe they could have shown more with like what was happening in America, more with JFK.
So would you say maybe more scale than depth? I mean, you mean just kind of like bigger picture thing because it's like
bigger picture maybe.
I think it's inferred that it's like, oh, we all know like like what are we like? We're supposed to know it's Cold War. It's kind of big, but I don't think they
Yeah.
ever. But which I think to your point, they never. It's like they showed some clips of JFK, but it was never like.
I will
He
say
was
this.
like a character in the movie. So
This is one of the points I thought was interesting. Is I feel like growing up, obviously, we always learn like the American side of things, and it was really
Yeah.
interesting to see like the British perspective on like American dilemmas during the Cold War. Because like the Cuban Missile Crisis is, pretty sure, like the closest we ever got to nuclear war in the world. And so it's really interesting to see it from like the British side and how they were like how they reported on it, and like I don't know how like the citizens reacted, and then they were like telling them over the radio like what to do if a nuclear bomb was on its way. Like I thought that was insane to think about.
Yeah. Like one of the quotes was the movie was like, you always just make sure the British think they're in charge.
Well, that's a good.
And then things go smoothly.
Well,
you know?
if you think about it, like that's a general rule of thumb for life. If you make other people think they're in charge, but you're still getting what you want, like that's pretty smart, man.
It's true. True.
Relationship goals right there. Wait, what?
Oh, too soon.
Someone's always gonna be wearing the pants bed.
Someone's always and it never escapes us.
Reference to our last podcast, if you were listening. No, I think it definitely draws, I think, peak interest from its era and its surrounding events. And I know Thomas has mentioned that he loves the Cold War era and all that's surrounded with it.
Yeah, it's my
so
favorite.
I think definitely.
It's my favorite period of history for sure.
Really?
Holmes, what do you know what year your parents were born in?
They were 67, 69.
Gotcha. And then Ryan, yours are pretty old, right?
My parents are old, 58 and 59.
Yeah, I think my dad was born somewhere around there. I don't know the exact year, but somewhere around there. But my dad, because he went to high school, right next to an Air Force base, and he remembers like doing like bombing, bombing drills, like atomic bomb drills. And their high school, like how we do earthquake drills now, they did like bombing drills.
Yeah, all the high schools around where near I grew up, they all have bomb shelters. Like all the older ones, they have like bomb shelters that literally are underneath the entire football field. Like it's huge, and
that's crazy.
I don't know if they would actually.
Well, did you hear? I'll be interested to know if this is true, because in the movie, the CIA lady was saying that like the private bomb shelters aren't that good. The only ones you're gonna find that are decent are like the government ones.
Right.
So I wonder like to what degree that's true. Because I mean, obviously, like the government has like the best bomb shelters for like, I don't know, congressmen and like the president and whatnot.
Keep up on the best.
Designated survivor, you know.
you
We're bringing it back. Oh no.
Ryan gets it.
But keeping alive the best people might be the best thing. You know, that's what they think. We're not all equal. What?
You said it, not me. You said it, not me. No,
it's interesting how they like prioritize things like that for bombings and nuclear weapons, because like Thomas said, this was like the closest thing we got to the biggest nuclear warfare on the United States terrain and in the world, of course. So,
I mean, just imagine like the fear and paranoia, like that was like,
yeah,
we can kind of
could be the day.
Yeah, we could kind of look at it back now and kind of be like, okay, but it's like to put yourself in the situation to be like, that was a legitimate threat that you were talking about, you were always kind of worried, and it was always, I mean, it's always just like, oh yeah, it's like communism was just such a bad word. It was just Russia. It's always, you know, I mean, it's always portrayed as that, but I just can't imagine that like.
Well, and like you think too, like this was during the era where it was like people got their news and their information from newspapers or television or radio. Like if it was in like the world of the internet like it is now, like you could find information like constantly being updated. But I just can't imagine like span of fear between like the paper you get each morning. Like I don't know, because like that's as soon as you get your news updated.
Yeah.
And even then it takes sometimes like I don't know, like weeks for mail to get from Russia to DC. You know, I don't know. I think it's interesting to think about that.
The Cold War, what a time.
I'm gonna set us off into the deep part of this.
Oh no.
Taking a quote from Tenet: "No one cares about the bomb that didn't go off," and I think that's what this was.
Oh.
And I think that's what makes this the most interesting about it, because like this is the story behind this. Like I had no clue. Like it all depended on two people. But that's how everything changes, right? It changes on those two people, like they said.
Well, I feel like they really emphasize that point, which is really cool. Okay, I guess we're gonna do spoiler alerts, right?
No, it's totally fine.
Yeah. So basically, the British spy Greville Wynn and the Soviet spy Penkovsky like are in prison, and one of like the psychological tactics, which we could talk about forever, which I find fascinating. One of the psychological tactics the Soviets used was putting them together to see if like they would like talk to each other, be mad with each other, or get them to like spill the beans a little bit. But I just thought it was cool how like they were like happy. They were, I guess, content, maybe is a word. They were content with what they did and how it ended up, because they're basically like comforting each other, saying, hey, like change starts with two people. And I think that's really cool because obviously like they're considered enemies with each other, but yet they were able to work together, which I think is kind of a cool message too.
Do we really think they got off that information though, saying like, yeah, we survived the Cuban Missile Crisis, like the bomb didn't go off?
I don't think you can
Do you think
say
that really happened?
their information specifically was
Because they
not
were
what stopped the
recording
Cuban
it. They showed they were recording that
Yeah.
outside the hallway.
Well,
But
yeah. But I'm saying I
was
don't
that
think
just
the
effect?
information that they provided stopped the Cuban Missile Crisis by itself. I think
Well,
it was
yeah.
that
But
was a whole bunch of
it
stuff.
for sure helped, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, I didn't do a ton of research, but I was trying to look into the actual events, and they were just saying they pulled like a lot of different journals, a lot of different sources from what's his name,
Greville Wynn.
Greville Wynn,
And Greville
and they were just saying it was really hard to find him like reliable, just because there was so much. Obviously, there was a lot of secrecy, a lot of different things, and so they were just saying like they did their best to try to find, you know, the best source material and kind of capture the events that happened, but they're just saying that around this specifically, being that it was so big and hinged on so much, and there was a lot of secrecy, it was hard to kind of judge what the information actually was, what was said, what was recovered, and all that stuff. So
Yeah.
I kind of found it interesting to be like,
Well, I don't even
we may
know.
never know exactly what really
Yeah.
happened. So
Well, it's interesting. I did a little research. So it was really interesting to me. Greville Wynn got traded for a spy that the British
the
caught.
British, I would read that too.
And it's really interesting to see how Penkovsky and how the British and how the other spy were treated. The other guy, his Maladi, I think is his last name. He was like considered a hero for what he did, which is, I mean, it makes sense. Like he was considered a hero. He was put on postage stamps. Like he was like hailed as a hero. Whereas
A hero in
Penkovsky
Russia or
in Soviet Russia for spying on the British and bring
yeah.
valuable information back to them. Whereas
And-
Penkovsky was executed and was treated terribly. And so it's just interesting to see, like, they're literally like two, I don't know, same citizens of the same country. I don't know, but it's just interesting to see how they were treated differently. Which, I mean, does make sense.
Double agent though.
It does make sense though, to like, obviously, like, you should deal with traitors, you know, if like that's your country. Like, you got to protect your state secrets.
Yeah, no mercy.
let them have it.
Oof.
Let them have it.
Woof.
Who were your guys' favorite character and least favorite character? Or I mean, there wasn't really a ton of characters in this, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, thinking about it, but
I don't know if I have a least favorite character, but I think for sure my favorite is Greville Wynn.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like there's times where he just seems so cute, for lack of a better word. Like, he just seemed like
cute.
this like little naive businessman who didn't really know what he was getting into.
Really,
And
though.
it's kind of cool to see his transition from like novice to actually like being passionate and caring about Penkovsky and wanting to help him out. And I was just cool to see that transition from just like, oh, I don't really want to do this too. No, I have to do this. So I thought that was really cool to see his character development along the way, and how at the end, like when he was in prison, like he had the mental stamina and the mental will to keep going, which
Mhm.
is impressive for someone who had no real like formal training.
No, it's true. I think where the movie thrives is that relationship with its characters.
Yeah.
To show Penkovsky and Greville Wynn, and then also with both of them to their families and like their at-home lives. Like it was just like, it was cool. I think how they took a dive into that aspect of everything.
Yeah.
Like I say, which maybe like to Ryan's point was saying, like instead of focusing on scale and like the Cold War, the Cuban Missile Crisis as a whole, they really doubled down on like these two guys, what they went through, what the choices they made, and the impact of it, especially in their families and their minds and their health, and the result of all that.
I mean, I can't imagine the stress that would be put on their family. Like, I feel so bad for his wife because, you know, I mean,
Oh,
it
yeah.
makes sense what he'd been caught cheating in the past. Like, it makes sense why
Yeah.
she was suspicious, and he literally couldn't do anything about it. And so I think that was cool to see not cool to see the strain, but it was interesting to see how like that relationship deteriorates and how the family feels about it.
Yeah. Built on trust. Families built on trust. And you have to break the trust It's really just hard. Like, do you sacrifice your family for your country? Do you think that's the greater good in the end? Because I don't think I think it's pretty 50-50 with people. Like,
Yeah.
maybe they'll protect their family over the country.
I mean, I don't even know what I would say to that question.
That's a
Yeah.
tough question. Well, it's
I
like
got-
I think it's situational almost. Like,
it's easy for us to look at because we're like, oh, it's the Cuban Missile Crisis. Like this is such a big and like
yeah. But in the
like you said,
time,
yeah, you
would
know what
you
I mean.
know
It's like
that?
you can kind of see like the result of like, oh, if things didn't happen, we don't know if like I said how much impact they really had, but it seems they were pretty integral and you know, I mean, like it's like they feel like they were helping something disastrous from not happening. But it's like another circumstance. Would you not? Yeah, that's a hard call to make. And
I mean, it's like the classic like moral debate of like, do you value the good of the few over the many, or the many over the few? You know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, and it's so but that's why I love the Cold War. There's
And that's why I love the Cold War, folks.
There's just so
Cold War's such an
many.
interesting time.
It's just so fascinating, and I don't know. I just can't get over it.
We had all the ability to destroy one another, but never fully pulled that trigger. And I think that's what's put us where we are today.
Yeah. Well.
What are Thomas's thoughts for
Put
your
it
thoughts?
into it.
I mean, if you're like looking at that graph, right? So like Cold War tensions got really, really high with us and Russia, and then it kind of like dipped down a little bit, and now tensions are on the rise again.
Yeah.
So just like how you saw like proxy wars being fought between like the Soviet sphere of influence and the U.S. sphere of influence, I think we're going to see that more and more, like carrying on, because like Putin isn't going to step down, and NATO is also not going to step down.
Right.
And they're like, okay, I guess we're going into this.
We're doing it. Thomas wants to
Well,
go
like
there.
so for example,
Yeah, sure.
Ukraine wants to be part of the EU. Like that's NATO's goal. That's Ukraine's goal, is to want to become part of the EU, and that's Russia's goal, is for them not to become part of the EU. So that's why we see a lot of conflict like along that border right there, is because there's literally two opposite goals, and they will both fight tooth and nail to achieve that goal. And so I just think we're seeing similar things that actually resulted from the fall of the Soviet Union being brought out today. Like the borders were redrawn arbitrarily. They didn't take into consideration different cultures or different languages or different ethnicities. Like there's large Russian populations that would be part of Russia that after the Cold War ended up in different countries than what they felt like they belonged. And so we're still seeing the effects of the Cold War today, and we still probably will for a long time.
Interesting. Thomas, why do you know so much about Ukraine?
I lived there for 2 years.
Interesting.
So I love Ukraine.
So you speak Russian, correct?
Well, that's what they tell me.
How
I'm
was their
Da?
Russian?
See.
Oh, okay. All right.
I was glad to see a movie actually like care about their language, because like there's a lot, like for example, you see a lot of movies where if they have Russian writing, it's just like random Russian letters and it's just gibberish, or the people who are like talking in Russian, you can tell they don't actually know what they're saying, they're just memorizing sounds. And so what I appreciated about this movie is they actually tried to get natives to fulfill the Russian speaking roles. Like, for example, Penkovsky, I was looking him up. He was played by an actor from Georgia, not the state Georgia, but the country Georgia, which is
The Republic of Georgia.
There's a country of Georgia?
yes, sir. And so it's another former Soviet state. So a lot of them speak Russian there. And so it's really cool that they got natives to do these roles. And so I was actually really impressed with their Russian, and like their translation was good as well. And so I don't know. I just, one of my biggest pet peeves is when a big budget movie or a big movie doesn't go to that effort. Like for example, the Avengers, when Black Widow is captured, you know, like at the beginning, right?
Mm-hmm.
By like the Russian thugs or whatever, right? Like you can tell she has no idea what she's saying, and it's just slaughtered, and it's just super bad and super gross. But the people who are actually speaking in here, like they are actually natives, and I really like that. And like the people who are speaking like who were Russian, who were speaking in English, had legitimate Russian to English accents as well. It's like it worked both ways.
Gotcha. Do you think they did pretty good, like on the setting?
100%. It still looks like that today.
Really? So I like it captured. I just was thinking how like authentic and
Like when
that
they're
vibe,
felt.
such.
For sure, that vibe, like the big, like I loved how they just showed how gray everything was. That is super, super accurate, especially in the winter months. Like I think it was like one of the opening scenes where it was like showing like shots of Moscow, and it showed like the gray river, the gray sky, like the gray buildings. That's super, super accurate. Like it can get kind of depressing, but it's still like
Mm.
that today. Just like the big, tall, like concrete buildings.
No
So I
color.
don't know. I felt good about it. Like it brought me back a little bit.
Thomas, that's so good to hear.
Uh,
It warms my heart a little bit.
Oh, Benedict.
You heard it here, folks. We got an expert of Russia himself.
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
an expert.
Russia.
No,
No, yeah, yeah.
but it is cool to verify that. Like, I mean, you did. I mean, you legit lived there, and like, so you have a very better understanding, than the average person. So it's good to hear.
I appreciate it.
how
It's
do
good to
we
hear the movie did well.
how do we like the speaking of Russia, how do we like the ballet scenes?
I don't know. Okay, so I didn't really get like they both kind of like were teared up, and was was I missing something in
Yeah,
that scene or whatever?
okay.
Like,
So let's go into the symbolism of this because they were watching Swan Lake, right? I think that's the name of
was
the play.
because like I said, like they were just like they were watching it. It was this
The
thing, and it was
ballet.
kind of dragged on long, and I was like, "Am I missing something? Am I not?" It went over me.
So the whole symbolism of the ballet Swan Lake is that like the queen swan gives up her life for the rest of them or something like that. And like when it was floating up in the air, that was why they're both like crying because like they knew like that could be them. Like if they were caught or anything like that, they would be executed and then fly up
That's
to the
kind
heavens.
of
after
dumb
that.
deep. I like that.
And
I really like that.
super emotional for them because like it was kind of like foreshadowing of the movie. Like
Mhm.
they knew he was gonna die and that he would be perceived as an angel for the world in the end,
Interesting.
I think Penkovsky's role is the hardest one to think about. Because like he was high in like it probably took him a lot to like be willing to defect, be willing to like give away secrets. Like he
Mhm.
was the
Plus to
one that
get
was like he was like
to
the
get to that
sacrificial
point.
lamb.
That's true.
Yeah. It's
Right.
like that's what makes me curious is like what did he see? What did he witness that turned him away from his home country?
That's true. Because like
And
we look at like Greville and like we're given more of him, and we can probably maybe relate a little easier. But it is like you're right. Like, what is it? Penkovsky? Is that how you say his name?
mhm.
He was much more like you said. He had to go further. I think against the norm or against what he was, or sacrifice more.
Because I mean, at
Yeah,
least
and
he paid the
it's
ultimate
different
price.
because like he was one of like the high up people of his country. Like he was deep in the KGB.
like he was in meetings
Whereas
with
like
the
other
president.
guy is he's just a salesman. Wynn's just a random salesman that is just a businessman trying to make some money for his family.
Well, and you
But I
see the
think
British.
that plays into the beauty of the story. Like
Yeah.
they both have the same kind of purpose for their country, whether it's a no-name guy from the middle of England or this higher up Russian person. They're both trying to do what's right for their country and for the world.
I think that's interesting too, because it's like, because obviously Penkovsky viewed his role as more important for the world rather than more important for his country, right?
Yeah.
I think that's kind of like
Yeah.
the argument that they got to get Greville to even start espionage, is saying like, hey, like this isn't for you, this isn't for your family, like this is for the world, which
Yeah.
was also interesting.
No, it's true. I like how the movie focused on that. Like, well, they didn't have to focus. It's a true story, but it's just interesting to see that like a regular person could, with no formal training, could eventually do that. Like, I just don't think many people are built that way or would survive long enough or continue. Or like Thomas said, when he's later captured,
Especially
have that mental
the
strength to.
torture.
I know it's like
Well, it's equal parts
at some
physical
point
and psychological.
I'd be like, all right, I'm out. Like, I'm just gonna go with my family. Like, this is not worth it. But like yeah, I don't know. It's just
Yeah. The truth is the truth, though, and I think that's what keeps him there. It reminds me of the book 1984 when they spoiler for that.
we haven't
capture him and
reviewed
they
yet.
torture him and do all sorts of torturous things to him. But the truth, no matter what. And because of that, he survived. I think that's the main thing because he actually didn't know what was in the packages he was delivering.
Yeah.
And based on that simple fact, he was able to push on and then with motivation of his family as well.
Well, I think it's interesting too, because I think also like there is like truth, but then there's also the truth that people want to believe in. Because obviously the Soviets viewed a different version of truth. Like they wanted justice, whereas Greville wanted the truth, saying like, "Hey, the truth is I'm trying to help the world," kind of a thing. And so I think
Yeah.
there's like varying levels of truth and varying interpretations of what truth even is, which makes it difficult as well. Because obviously, like the only reason that Greville got sent home is because the Russians were willing to trade a spy for him, which I think kind of
Right.
shows you how much he actually did. Because in any normal circumstance, they would not just trade a high level spy that they caught in their country
Yeah.
for a citizen.
True.
And they kind of went into that at the end, like saying if they would have done it like right off the bat, like they would have admitted that he was a higher up spy, and they probably would have killed him rather than trading for him
Yeah.
when they made the offer.
And I can't imagine too when he was in prison and then his wife came in and they're like, "Oh, it'll be another year, maybe 2." It's like,
That's tough.
Long time.
oh,
Because I think it said 6 months. Had he been there 6 months until she came finally?
something like
Yeah.
that.
Ugh. Yeah, I obviously it's hard to like to judge and sell, but like, do you guys? I mean, how long do you think you legit would last in any form of prison or like? That just seems so tough. Like I
know.
was
They
watching,
do-
I was like,
They do some pretty gruesome things. That's it. It just depends on what type of torture, I think, as well. And
it's like the monotony of like, you know what I mean? Like, because there's
What the
one time where he's like
circumstances.
where he starts screaming and he's kind of going crazy. It's like you're literally in a room by yourself, getting fed terrible food. You know what I mean? Like shave his head, he's cold. Like that just.
Well, it's crazy to think like when they
take
even
away
just
his
took his
blanket, take away-
mattress, yeah, his blanket, like
Mhm.
just one small little thing like that could just break him.
Yeah, that's just.
I don't think I would last very long, honestly. Like I don't feel like I have I don't feel like I have that strong of a will.
Mm.
But then again, I don't know. That's like me right now. But maybe if I've already been through those experiences and I've already seen
Yeah,
like
what if you
my
knew
Russian
you had
comrades.
information that would change the fate of the entire world? Like,
That's a whole other. I don't know.
yeah,
I
do
honestly
you feel
don't
that
know.
pressure?
That might give you some more motivation or something.
Yeah, for sure.
That's
Well, I think it's
crazy.
interesting too to think that like I think as Americans we have a tendency to think we have the Constitution, we have these higher laws like that never would happen here. But I can guarantee you that that happens. Like if they find a spy in America, they're gonna do similar things to get them to
Right.
talk. I mean, like we see the same thing in Guantanamo Bay. We see the same thing with like enhanced interrogation techniques. Like I just read a book on it. I read a report on it.
Even like the Japanese internment camps during World War
E-
II.
Ooh.
exactly. Like
Yeah.
I think that the countries will go to about any risk or anything they have to do in order, like in the name of national security, in the name of national
Yeah.
defense.
Fascinating.
Boys, we're getting deep with this one.
I know the last one was so lighthearted, and now we're like,
It's just a fun national treasure. I mean, but it's like that's kind of part of the movie, though. It's like a heavier, kind of deeper. Like I said, it kind of goes with the whole like you said. It's in Russia. It's just very
it's a little more
it's just
gritty.
gray, gritty, realistic, and you're like, well, that was the Cold War. It was just like
Yeah. Heavy topic, and it's pretty recent, I'd say. So
I mean,
yeah.
I know.
it's kind of freaky to think how soon it was. Like it was not really that long ago that we had the
Yeah,
Cold
like
War.
our parents all were at least alive during this time,
Like the Berlin Wall fell, I think, in 91.
Was it early 90s? I thought it was
Oh.
late 80s.
89. Check
Fact check us. Comment down below.
1989, November 9th, 1989. I think that's like effectively the end of the Soviet Union, right?
Yeah, that's
Let's see
pretty
what
much
that.
the official end of it.
Tommy, Russian expert. No, that's Germany.
Yeah, so the Soviet Union
East Berlin, West
dissolved.
Berlin, this whole big thing.
The Soviet Union dissolved December 26th, 1991. That's like Ukraine just celebrated like its 30th anniversary of independence, like not that long ago. Like 30 years, like that's not a long time.
That's crazy to think
So
actually.
crazy.
Put in perspective like that.
Like my brother is 30.
Yeah.
And like I don't feel like
Jeez.
he's that old, you know.
No, that's crazy.
Wow.
Well, one of my favorite scenes from the movie was like right when they're on the brink of like being caught, and it's like I love how movies always kind of give you like the like you think you pretty much know they're not going to get away, but it's like they give you such a like he's on the plane, he's so
Yeah,
close, and you're
on
like
the plane.
just leave, and you're
They
like
drop off the van, and then they pick someone else comes up, picks the van. They drive it around. He's on the plane.
it's like
Sweating. the
was
agent, the
I know,
agent is
seriously.
behind him.
And he was like,
Well-
what are they saying? And he's
That was clever move.
That was
Clever
clever.
move.
clever girl.
But I don't know if you noticed this, which I thought was really interesting. I don't know if this has anything to do with truth, but when he was flying, every time he flew to Russia, he was on a British Airways plane. But that last time he was on an Aeroflot plane, which is the Russian state plane. So I wonder if like if it was a
The
British,
jurisdiction.
if it was a jurisdictional thing too, like if
Diplomatic immunity.
diplomatic.
Diplomatic.
Yeah, I don't know. I just thought it was really interesting to see that little.
Interesting. No, those scenes are always like I said.
So
there's
intense.
an old like war movie called The Great Escape, and it's got similar feels to it, but like where the prisoners are trying to escape. But I always find that fascinating, and it's always like so tense. And I just think that scene really drove me in because it's just like because the two when the one lady she was trying to escape, like she had a little like quick costume change, like she
Yeah,
and like I think that's really
Yeah.
smart. Like I love the idea of
In-
like trying to
in
like
the
escape in a
sword.
crowd and like take off her coat, put on something else. Like
Clever.
that would just like in your moment of that, like you could see just like he's sitting there, our boy Benedict's just starting to sweat.
yeah.
Oh,
I honestly think I don't know. I don't know if I have a favorite scene per se, but one of my favorite parts I think was when he was in prison and like his head was getting shaved, like he was changing his clothes, like he was stripping down because he had to, you know. They did like the cavity search. I think that there was like so much raw emotion, like you could see on his face, like that. I think that was such great acting right there
It feels so violent.
because you could feel like he was in shock and like he had no idea what was going on, and I just think about that, just like this businessman who just wants to provide for his family, and his wife thinks he's cheating, you know, like
Yeah.
he thinks
Mhm.
that the embassy
lengths
doesn't
he
know
had to
where
go
he's
to.
at, and I just think all that
he
emotion
just
like
in his
showed
dark.
on his face.
Yeah, no, you're right. Benedict, I would like the acting carries.
Well
this was
done.
some good acting.
Snaps
Doctor
to Benny.
Strange?
Snaps to Benny.
Job.
Can we get some snaps from Benny?
Snaps for Benny.
Wait, Benjamin Gates or
Wait.
oh no, not that
That's
one.
what the
Gotcha.
third national treasure is going to be about.
Cold War.
That'd be cool though. Oh man.
Egypt. It's gonna be Egypt.
That's
Oh,
not how it works, Holmes. Come on.
man.
I want to go back to what something Ryan said earlier about the tenant. So because you said
No one cares about the bomb that didn't go off.
it didn't go off. Can you just elaborate a little further? Because I'm not sure if I grasp that fully. Or
That's kind of the whole like purpose of Tenet. The movie.
Have you heard
was,
of paper?
was like in the government. There are probably so many things that have happened, or so many people that have done sacrificial things that we never hear about. Because like, what if someone were to have stopped the planes of 9/11? We're like, oh, we would kind of like blow it off and say, oh, that was a close call.
I mean, we already do
You
kind
know.
of blow off the plane that crashed in Pennsylvania. Like,
Yeah.
it's not
Right.
Yeah.
as a higher
Because it
level.
didn't hit something so detrimental to American
something so
history, you know,
big.
and who we are. And that's just so fascinating. Like we would never hear about this. Like this could have been hidden. Like this whole movie could have been hidden. The information that was here. Maybe it was too soon, you know.
Gotcha. No,
It's
yeah, I get you.
fascinating. What if they actually just launched the missiles from Cuba? I think they were pointed directly at the White House, if I'm not wrong. And that would be crazy.
That would have been nuts.
Nuclear warfare on the whole eastern United States.
Yeah, like how does that actually play out? Like, I mean,
all hell would break loose.
like
we
it's
would
like
unleash on each other, and then at that point, what do we do?
that's
We
just like what
both-
nuclear
we both
winter
end
and
up
just
killing
like
ourselves by
mass
killing each other.
destruction. Yeah, it's just like
Yeah.
who.
Well, something I also think is interesting that we often forget about as well is the U.S. did have missiles in Turkey at the time.
Yeah,
And so it's like kind of like that
That's what they were
double.
saying.
It's like, what do you call
the
it?
double
Like,
standard.
yeah, the double standard of
Double
like,
standard,
oh,
yeah.
well, you have missiles here, so
You
why
would skip it.
can't-
You're like, well, you also have missiles in Turkey. Yeah.
So I think that's, I don't know, it's really interesting. It's kind of
Russia
like the
was
whole,
only thinking it was fair to have it here because we have it there.
which makes sense. It makes sense. Like, I hate to say that, but I can more understand their argument with that a little
Yeah.
bit.
In
No,
the,
it's
the
true.
strategy of war, though, is like we have it in Turkey. Like the United States would back it up saying we have it in Turkey, so you don't go to other countries around you. Whereas like you don't need it in Cuba because we're not going after Mexico and Canada. You know.
True. Thomas doesn't doesn't agree, maybe.
I think there's a different reason behind it, but we won't get into
But
it.
yeah, it's all a facade. It's all a part of it.
And
Read 1984.
and more, no
My
one,
recommendation here.
no one wins. So
Yeah, it's rough.
Read Fahrenheit 451.
I like Fahrenheit 451. Should we review books? Comment down below. Comment down below if you,
You know
want
what's
us to review
long? You know how
books.
long it would take to read a book? We have to read
It would be much long. We do it like every month.
A few
Or-
hours. Yeah, one every 4 is a book.
Comment down below what books you want us to read.
You're throwing at
This is
1984.
for you,
you're throwing at
Stewie.
Fahrenheit
Already getting a shout out.
Yeah, Stuart.
we know we got one listener. At least one. Oh
man.
my goodness. Oh,
All right. Dialing it back a little bit, going back to the movie. What do you guys think of the score?
actually, I
Beautiful.
like it. I don't think anything like super stood out. I think there was a good moment, like at the end when he I always say his name on Penkovsky. Penkovsky and Win were talking, and kind of like there was resolution of him coming home. Like there was a really good.
Yeah, that was my favorite
I
part of the
really liked.
score.
There was some other kind of parts, but that was the one like that really stood out to me. That was like just good, like resolution, a little bit
Yeah.
like heartwarming, a little bit like
There was nothing like
They did it or
super like
something,
intense about the music, but it was like it's good. It's something I could listen to, and I think it's based on like classical music.
Yeah, it's based on Russian classical music,
It's
which I
based
think is a
on
nice
Russian.
homage.
Yeah.
I mean, I agree though. I don't think there was anything like. It's not like Jurassic Park where it's instantly recognizable or like an instant
Right.
classic for sure. But
Mhm.
I do think it accurately portrayed like the mood of the movie. I do think it helped at times, especially like that end. Like I think first of all, 2 times in particular, like one during like the performance of the ballet. I think
Yeah.
that showed it a lot, like
Especially
the emotion, and then like the resolve when Greville comes home as well, and then like kind of like where they're rolling like before the credits, like what happened to everyone as well.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think that was like that's where it kind of hit me the most, or where I really like felt it the most.
I
The
love
best
it.
movies have good endings,
I love
Yeah.
and I feel like that. I think it was just a good like resolution and kind of like okay, like he did it,
it. The sacrifice had to be paid.
he made it home.
I mean,
But, yeah.
Penkovsky paid the
Made it home.
ultimate sacrifice, and
It's
you
true,
know
Penkovsky.
he got tortured like way
Oh,
worse.
no.
Than
Oh yeah,
like seeing his beat up face, it just
yeah.
hurt.
That's
Yeah,
the,
could
like,
you imagine they showed their side, like the Russians torturing their own person? Do you think they'd be more
Yeah, would they be
brutal to
more
them?
aggressive or?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think they'd be more sadistic for sure.
Isn't that crazy?
I think they. I mean,
don't
they
know.
had to be. I mean, like,
Well,
but-
they shot that spy in front of everyone at the
Yeah.
beginning.
yeah, it's like what Thomas said. Like it was their spy was celebrated a hero for, and then they killed one of their own for being a traitor
mean,
essentially.
yeah.
So
Our spies are celebrated here.
yeah, so it's
Holmes.
Yo.
Right after this movie, some news broke that there was a spy that was working for Iraq. I think.
Oh yeah,
That she
That's
pleaded
nuts.
guilty in the U.S. So like espionage still happens.
like that
That's true.
happened yesterday.
Like literally
That's
yesterday is
literally-
when it broke.
well, it's like it's Ryan's point too. It's like there's probably so much that goes on that we
We will never hear.
will never know, we'll never hear about.
I'm honestly probably kind of glad we don't hear about it all because I think it would just show. Like I think we have a pretty like our idea of the world is like okay, it's reasonably stable right now. But I think if you got into all the nitty gritty of all like the things that go on and like the Russian hack of like all the computers and like the Department of the Homeland Security, like I think if you like unveil the curtain a little, there's a lot that goes on. It shows you like really how the world's at a constant state of war, whether it's cyber war or otherwise.
Mhm. And especially in the day of social media where things spread and information opinions all over the place. And
Influencing elections.
Ignorance is bliss.
it's
yeah.
it's like it's better to not know what's behind the curtain than to pull it back.
I mean, I think it's fascinating and I think it's terrifying.
And it's both. It's a little bit of both.
Paranoia
Yeah.
would be really strong.
For
Yeah,
sure.
it would.
Man.
Thank goodness we didn't live through the Cold War.
Oh
Holmes'
Yeah.
argument, we're going to another one. As Thomas just said,
Well, not
escalations
yet.
are getting higher.
Our escalation is going up, but it's different world stage. We're gonna hit. Yeah, never mind.
Do you think we would be close, or like is that like
I think right now our number one biggest enemy, the U.S., is China.
is China? China.
So during the Cold War, it was a bipolar world, which meant there was 2 main powers that are
World
struggling
powers.
to keep the power. So it was the U.S. and the Soviet Union, and then it turned into a unipolar world with the U.S. remaining king, and then China's coming up, and it's going to make it a bipolar world again. And China and Russia are on the same side, so I think that's how we're going to get into it a little more.
Do you think tensions will continue to boil?
They'll
Tensions are
get higher and
high.
higher, especially once China starts beating our economy, which it will soon.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Not unless we have something to say about it. Release date
Yeah,
coming
yeah,
up.
let's go.
I'm content living life and living in a good country.
In our
so.
little official podcasting studio, superficial.
That's all we ask. That's all we ask. 10%. 10%.
Oh my
10%.
gosh.
Oh my goodness.
I don't. Well, do you have anything else to add before we do our ratings, or?
I'm trying to
I'd add the interesting fact about the score. Like Thomas mentioned it's actually like based off of a guy whose name's Shostakovich. That's like he's a composer from Russia, and he was alive creating music during the time this happened.
Interesting.
And one of the main song in the credits, it's called "It Has to Be You," is based off of one of his songs, Jazz Suite Number 2, Waltz.
Really? And like as far as Russian classical music goes, is that like piano? Is it like orchestral? Is it? I just don't. I've no
Orchestral. Like overall, it's based off of Tchaikovsky, who's the one who made Swan Lake music.
Gotcha.
And so full circle, it's all around, just centered around that whole culture and everything, and they stayed true to that, I think, because it's literally just the same song, just like rewritten in different beats, but the same notes even.
But they're keeping that same. I like that. No, that makes.
I thought it was really cool.
I love that homage.
Really
to it.
Cool.
I love when movies, like I said, they go through the extra detail of like, especially the music. Like not that Inception's on the same level as far as Death, but like I know that Hans and Christopher, like they coordinated a lot of things they wanted. The music was very pertinent to the story and certain story beats, and that was very like part of the movie. And so I like how it does that. Like since it's in Russia, it's in, it's paying that homage, and it's not just like, oh, just throw in some like emotional music or just throw in some like, it pulls from a song. It pulls like, I like when they do that. It's
based in, I love that.
You can feel the difference. You can feel the difference,
Yeah. I feel like it probably means more like culturally too to people who watch it. People have a relationship.
It looks like it was written by a guy named Abel Korzeniowski.
Thomas, can you?
Who's from Poland? He's from Poland.
Did he pronounce that right? Is that correct?
Yeah,
it's Polish.
He did the music from The Nun.
Thomas, you're supposed to know all European languages, okay?
Oh, woof.
You are the Eurasia expert.
Just for the crowd, for the people. Can you say something in Russian, please?
Say we love you.
Love me?
I was saying we love the fans.
Oh yeah.
Talk to the fans.
Oh, we do love you.
We love them, and we hope we get more.
Я никогда не знал, что сказать, когда люди хотят, чтобы я говорил по-русски.
Are you sure that's all he said? Just that?
Wait, what? What did he say?
Come again?
Wait, one last question for you, Thomas. Did you appreciate that like a good, like, I feel like there was a fair amount of scenes that were in Russian. Like, did you appreciate them doing that?
I did.
Or would you at
I like it when a movie is in the language where it's set. Like, for example, like you have movies where it's like Japanese soldiers are speaking English. I don't like that. Like, I want them to speak the language where they should be at. So it's not just because it's Russian and they're speaking in Russian. Like, I just like the fact that they're speaking the language they should be speaking. I think that's cool.
I think we'll get more and more of that. I think a lot of people are learning more and more languages as well.
Yeah. Well, it's just like in Jurassic Park. Like, I like how they're speaking Spanish in the mines.
Yeah.
Like, I think the language that is spoken in that country should be spoken in that scene.
Country.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Cool. That's fair.
Woof. All right. Should we do some ratings?
Let's do our ratings.
All right.
Holmes is not going first this time.
Yeah, I think
I think Thomas goes first. This is Thomas's movie.
I'm scared.
This is the Russian movie.
Mother Russia.
So I've been really Mother Russia. I've been really thinking about what I want to put it, and I've kind of gone back and forth. Like, do I want to? Because I'm looking at National Treasure, because I gave National Treasure an 8.1. And I'm like, do I like it?
8.1. So like, Holmes gave it a 6.
So I'm thinking, like, do I like it more than National Treasure or less?
And it's so hard.
And it was really hard. This one was hard for me to rank.
That's a hard thing.
But I think when it's all said and done, I'm giving it a 7.8.
Woo!
Wow.
Wee.
Um,
Well done.
That's pretty
So-
high.
I
Do you
know.
like?
I already have a feeling that like my ratings are gonna be
You're
so
a high
skewed.
rater.
I
Jurassic Park was
But-
7.2.
like I said, I think my ratings like is really gonna be between 7 and 9. Like if I like the movie, if I like the movie between 7 and 9. If I don't,
And if he
it's gonna
hates
way
it,
at the
everything
bottom.
else is below.
Yeah,
That's
I
gonna
think
be
that's what
Thomas.
it's gonna be.
It's gonna be like a couple 1s and 2s, and then just all 7, 8, 9s.
Honestly, that's probably what it's gonna be at.
Nothing in the middle.
All right. 30 seconds. Explain yourself.
Yeah.
Okay, give me a countdown.
Do you have a timer, Ryan, or no?
I don't.
So you just start.
Should I bring one up?
It's a whole big thing. We were just
It's
doing
whatever,
it. I
yeah.
just thought, it's
Was
all
under
good.
pressure when it was
I can
going
do it. Let me
on.
do it. You don't have to do it. Let me take care of you. All right, I got it.
Uh,
All right,
All right.
3, 2, 1.
So my biggest decision factor was, I love the Russian culture. It really felt realistic to me and natural to me. Like it felt like it should be how it is. Like felt realistic. But I did dock it a few points just because National Treasure is just fun. It's a fun movie, and I like National Treasure better, and I think I can watch it more and more again. I don't really know like what else to say other than I really liked it. But I think there's always more you can do with it.
He's done.
Denzo, baby.
Just like that.
Denzel Washington.
A 7 point. What did you give it?
8.
8.
Sweet.
Wowza.
Okay.
Someone likes Russia over here. Well, Holmes, if you spoke the language and you were there, you might like it. All right, I get it.
All right. So who's next?
I'll go.
No, I'll go.
No,
No, you go. No, you go. No, you go. No, you
I
go.
offer a sacrifice. What? Too soon.
What? Swan.
May you rest in peace.
Swan
call me
song. It's your swan song.
Swan song.
All right. Give us your rating.
Tarkovsky, may you rest in peace. All right, 3. Oh no, yeah, give us your rating. Sorry.
I'm gonna give it an even 7. Ryan, 7's not even. 7.0. 7.0.
Thank you.
For the fans. For the fans.
Interesting. Yikes! I'm
Which
scared.
is
I'm scared about my
surprisingly higher
rating
than
now.
National Treasure and Jurassic Park. I just like this type of movie. I
Oh.
like espionage.
3, 2, 1, go.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Let me go. I like espionage. I like movies like this. I love war movies. Probably one of my favorite categories for sure. I like that they go into the depth. I like that they have Russian background. Really Cold War-esque. I love the score. If I could change anything, maybe having the scale more depth broad wise, there was something else I was thinking of. The time.
You got nothing, right?
I don't remember.
That was awkward.
Well, you're gonna have to fix that in post.
All right, Holmes. Give us your rating.
Fix that, bro.
I forgot. The whole big thing. Yikes. Okay, my rating
Give it a 5. Give it a 5. You won't.
Are you gonna go lower than National Treasure?
is 5.8.
Woo.
Oh gosh.
Woo. Is that the lowest? Oh,
That's.
I remember what I was gonna say. Can I
Say
say
it,
it real quick?
Your 30 seconds are up, Ryan.
Rewatchability probably isn't high. That's why it's not as high.
Oh, gotcha. That's fair.
I just for you keeping track out there, all you fans.
Oh my gosh.
0.8.
This is Holmes's lowest score. He gave National Treasure a 6 and Jurassic Park a 7.1.
We'll have to keep like a graph. We'll probably show a graph on one of these or something.
That's actually really fun. We should definitely do that.
When we get to like our 50th
Once
or
we have,
something.
like 5. Yeah.
For the record, though, I think my scale is
50.
probably a little different than Thomas's. But for me, like anything above a 5, I like, and I'm trying to keep it in maybe a broader range of.
I get
points.
it. I get it.
But
Actions speak louder than words.
all right.
All
Give me
right,
the
you ready?
count.
Mommy,
Countdown.
he's here. Don't worry about it.
So with this movie, I did appreciate. I think it's points for realism and for history, like I said, and I really like those genres. I don't know if they're necessarily my favorite for movies, maybe just my personal taste, but like as far as historical like dramas go, it's solid. It's like it was accurate, it was well acted. It felt just like gritty, realistic, and I like that. I like kind of more darker movies than just like happy. But it rewatchability wasn't much, and I ran out of time.
Whoa. Okay, so I have a little tiff with you because last time you said I'm not rating National Treasure as high because it's not as real. And now you're saying, oh, this is too real.
And here we
Is there
go.
a balance or something? I don't know.
First bone to
Inconsistencies.
pick.
Inconsistencies
bone
of
to
Holmes
pick.
rating scale. So this is the problem when I put myself out there now. I'm on.
The whole world is
apart. I don't
watching.
know what to say.
Defend yourself.
That is a good point. As I was saying it, I was like, oh crap. It's gonna be look, it's the thing about movies is they're all subjective, okay? And my opinion of them is completely subjective. So
Someone's got to go to prison, Ben.
with that
All
in
right,
mind,
we'll give it to you.
it's hard to keep the ratings as in. But I think they're different genres too, and there's a little bit of nostalgia and new, and it all plays into it. So, and clearly,
That's
I think
fair.
I rated National Treasure a little too low. So it's hard to put this above it. So I had to fall a little lower.
If
Just
you
right below.
obviously,
Point
obviously,
two
we,
below.
obviously, we can't go back in time and have you re-rank National Treasure, but what would
No
you have ranked it?
re-ranks.
I was curious.
I probably would have given it a solid 7.
A whole point.
Well, because I was thinking below Jurassic Park, and then I was thinking like, well, it's lower, and for some reason, I don't know why I went all the way to 6. Like it just was that was stupid of me. It
It's
was
the whole range. Whole
Question:
range.
Do you think about the score before the episode, or do you just come up with it like right on the spot?
I thought well, the first time I came up with it right on the spot.
Yeah, that was
Clearly,
obvious.
as you go back and listen to it, episode 1, shout out. Holmes, what? But the last two, I thought a little bit more about it before. So,
Nice.
but like with this, like for me, it's like it's past a 5 because I still like it, but it's nothing like I said, I don't think I would ever like watch it necessarily again. Like maybe once, but
yeah,
like I
that
said, I
makes
think
sense.
movies.
It's not. Like right. It's not a high rewatchability.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's just like I said, and I just think that's maybe entertaining, but
It's like something I'd watch like every couple of years. Like, oh yeah, that's a cool movie.
Yeah.
But not
was
something
a-
I'd watch in the
was
car
good.
every single week.
Mm-mm.
National Treasure.
Attitude.
We love that too. Well, I think that was good, solid discussion. That was definitely a more serious episode, which
It was.
obviously we're going to encounter as we go through different genres, which is one of the reasons we did this, right? Is so
That's
we
true.
can have
That's the
different
beauty.
movies.
Love that it was
of
new.
release date.
Yeah, different movies dictate our topic. So I don't know. I think that's interesting. We're gonna get all sorts of topics.
Because we're fun, we're dinky, but I like the idea of going. This is a little more history. It was a little bit more. There were some good moral qualms and things to discuss. So
Yeah, I agree.
that's the beauty of release date. Versatile. Ryan, our marketing manager, he'll get on that.
Yeah, we'll make a T-shirt with that on there or something.
I already started.
All right. Well, are there any last minute little anything? Any comments?
Go easy on Holmes' scale of rating, okay?
We're all thinking it.
No, I'm gonna get ripped apart in the comments. Comment down below if you hate Holmes. No,
Stuart lay into him.
what?
Oh, man.
Trevor, we're looking at you. What? He's not even
And
listening.
maybe Nathan, if he
If he's in,
watches, if he watches
it.
them.
All right. Yeah.
Overall good movie. Glad to do our first new actual release date.
Yeah.
I 100% recommend watching it though.
Yeah, I think it's a good one. For
It's
sure.
good. Definitely give it a watch.
Like it's a for sure at least a one time in your life watch it. I would
Yeah.
recommend.
It's like, oh yeah, I watched that. You
And for you Russians out there, watch it.
know.
Oh man. All right. Well, thank you all. Next week we got another new movie. Hopefully, if all goes according to plan. So we'll let you know about that next week. So appreciate it, everyone.
Catch you on the flip.
Catch you on the
See ya.
flippity flip.
Release date out.